Hey everybody, if you're as excited as I am to find out what's in the box, stay tuned because we're coming right back. Well, you take a look at that. Yeah, that is beautiful. All right, welcome back everybody. I am Tim and you are watching Doc's Autos here on YouTube. If you have not yet subscribed, please consider hitting the subscribe button below and click that post notifications button so you're notified every time we put out new content. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back for more. Today we are going to be working on that 52 Chevy, but we're not doing body work for a change. We're going to do a little bit of work on the fuel system, and it's kind of been plaguing me for a while. The engine just doesn't run well. It gets the fuel bowl overflows, and gas leaks on the exhaust. That's a bad thing. So I think I finally figured out why that's happening, and it was a complete classroom 101 mistake that I overlooked when redoing the fuel system a couple years ago. So I'm going to run down here into our shop quick and grab something. Well, oh, look at that. It's actually kind of warm in here. What's the thermometer say? It says it's 55 degrees in here. Probably most of that heat's coming from that switch. But nice day in the shop. We've got Truck Norris. We've got some brake work to do, full set of rotors and pads all the way around, rear calipers, gonna get new pins. Triumph is sitting here waiting for a sunnier day. Mustang, if you saw recently, we replaced the gearing in the odometer, so that actually works again. We're just looking forward to some warmer weather to get out and start using that. Of course, we're going to do our check for blown head gasket yet, and we have to replace the convertible top on it. So a couple of projects there. Oh, the horse trailer is happy. It was inside this year. Bob has been an incredible asset to our property this last year. For, I don't know, about 90 hours of use he got. We've had him just about a year now. 90 hours of use he got here compared to his first home. He got about 50 hours per week of use. Pop-up camper, that is mouse free. I've got a little repair left to do on that, and I'll get back into camping this year, so that's going to be phenomenal. And then the rest of our scrap steel here. So really what I came down here for was a funnel. There we go. I've got to put a little bit of fuel in the 52. It was sitting over here off level, and had a hard time getting her out of the shop here this morning. This was a heck of a project last year, and we were so thankful we were able to put it up. Everything lined up, and friends could come and help us. As we are able to finish it off more, then this will end up being our primary workspace for future rebuilds. For now, back out here to the great outdoors. Look at this, it's 55 degrees, not a cloud in the sky. Got the horsies over there, fat and happy. They made it through the winter just fine. Our snow is melting away, so that's great. So as I was saying, we've got the funnel here, put a little bit of fuel in the 52, but the main point, what I wanted to go over, is working on the fuel system here. So let's go ahead and have our massive unboxing of this wonderful thing and see what it is. Certainly nothing spectacular, but hopefully helpful. And I'm sure a lot of you have already figured out what it is. It's a piece of paper. Instruction guide. All right, More important, it is fuel line. Well, let's come over here quick. All right, what we're actually looking at here is this fuel line that goes from the fuel pump down there into the carburetor for the fuel line. So I have a feeling this is plugged. I did not replace it when I replaced the fuel lines a couple of years ago. I replaced the fuel lines, the fuel tank, the new fuel sending unit, everything up to the fuel pump. And I guess I don't know why I didn't replace this line then. So we're going to do three things today. The first is going to be take this line off, get rid of it, blow it out, see if there's chunks in there. The second is going to be take off the fuel pump and see, maybe I can just take off the cap here with those two screws, and there's a diaphragm in there. And I want to see if there's any sediment and gunk that have collected in there. And then the third thing I want to do is take off the carburetor and clean that out and make sure there's nothing stuck in the needle anymore, because what I found is that something gets stuck, a little piece of grit or dirt or rust will get stuck in that seat, and it holds it in the open position, and that's what happens and allows gasoline to overflow the bowl and then leak right down on the hot exhaust. Definitely not a good thing. So that is our task for today. It shouldn't be anything terribly complicated, something anybody can do with some basic hand tools. So we'll just go ahead and step through that process. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go ahead and take off the air filter here. This kind of lifts off for right now. All right, we'll go ahead and take this off here, this fuel fitting. This is a 9/16 on the back, half up front. There we go. Out we go here. And looking down here. All right, same thing is going to be for on the fuel pump side of things. I'm not bringing you along for this ride because it's the same thing, just on the other side of the tube. And it's very difficult to see down here. One helpful bit of information I will point out, I did go ahead and soak everything with penetrant. I did soak everything down with penetrant before I started wrenching on everything here, just so I'm not dealing with extremely rusted hardware. The fuel pump was put on right before I got it, so that's going to be, less than 10 years. I got this thing in 2013. So, and then the fitting on the carburetor end has been off probably a half dozen times for cleaning. I did a complete rebuild on the carburetor. And then every time the needle sticks and I have to take off and reseat the needle in the float. All right, I have one straight blade screw up here. Came off very easily. Now I do have these couple little clips that are on the return line for the vacuum, so I don't want to damage those or that vacuum line. So I'll see if I can easily or gently get these off. Got one. And then one right here. And I'm not quite sure why my pliers looks like it's been kind of hanging out with Charlie Sheen. But our fuel line is off. It should be open. There's one more clip down there I missed. That last one will get you every time. Oh, go. Zing! And that's gone somewhere. You don't need them all, right? They're all just kind of a suggestion or guideline. All right, there's our old fuel line. Let's take a look. Here's that old fuel line. You see fuel is dripping out of it from that end, none back out of there. So, tastes like gas. I don't see a lot of corrosion and crud and junk in there. It's tough to see. Let's see if I can look over here. Tough to see. Oh, I'm sure there's definitely some gunk in there along the way, but not as bad as I was expecting it to be. I'll go ahead and catalog that over here. Where's that other clip? Find that before it gets away from me. Alrighty, so now that we've got the fuel line off, I'm gonna go ahead and take off the top section of the carburetor here. 1, 2, 3, 4 straight blade screws, and then a choke retainer, and then this whole top part will come off. Again, not a place for power tools. We've got one screw retaining on the choke. So when I get that loose, then your choke cable will come out freely. Unless you didn't loosen your screw enough, in which case it won't. There we go with your choke. One more thing you want to be careful of is this gasket. I don't have any spares, so remove it very carefully so I don't damage it. There we go. It may be difficult to see, but down in here, there is definitely some sediment and dirt laying, of course, where it should be, but I'm going to clean that out, dry the bowl out, clean all those little bits and chunks out of there, so we'll have a good starting point. And let's go over and look at actually tearing down that carburetor, and not really tearing it down, I guess, just taking out the needle and making sure that and the seat are clean. Alrighty, nothing too fancy here. Very simple. Got the bowl upside down. Got the bowl down here, our float, and then if you can see in here is where our needle is. And as the fuel comes down around that needle, it fills up the bowl, and in theory, the float should close off that needle. But what happens is you get stuff in there, and the little rubber tip of the needle does not fully close around that opening. And you get stuff in there. Now look at this right here, prime example. Look at that. This black thing right there. That is going to be a cause of holding the needle open, closed, or in some stuck position. So that's exactly what I was hoping I would find. And kind of validate me taking this apart. So what we're going to do is get some brake clean, a Wonder Juice, and shoot it through here. And I might actually take this off too and clean that out quick. No, bigger screwdriver. Of course, the one covered in dirt and mud. It's actually too big. What do you know? I tried the third screwdriver and it fit just right. All right, this comes out. Huh, I can't see through that hole. You should be able to see through, but it be plugged. Now there is a little gasket in here. Need to be mindful and save him. But now I can go and clean this out. Take my multi-purpose solder poker wire, clean out the gunk, or just blow it. There we go, more stuff came out of there. And now if you look, you can see, maybe there you go, you can see through. That's just what we were looking for, confirming my suspicion that there was gunk in there. Nobody likes gunk. Grab a new handy dandy bottle of brake cleaner. I've got a bunch of them, but these little hoses seem to keep disappearing. So now I got a new bottle and a new hose. I'm gonna go ahead and spray back so I don't shove anything that's in here down any further. Just spray everything out. All right, now we're all cleaned here, and I did go through, I think it was 2 springs ago or winter ago, and do an overhaul on the carburetor, replaced all the their seals. This needle and seat were new, or needle was new, so I know that everything in here that I put in is good. My floats are properly adjusted for the right height, so that got me thinking we're still introducing junk in here somewhere. So the only thing it can be from is going to be from that fuel pump up to the carburetor, because everything else behind the fuel pump has been cleaned. So let's go ahead and we'll set this back in. There we go. And set our needle back in here. And then our float. Alrighty, now let's go back over to the vehicle and see if we can't soak up all those nasties. Alrighty. Go ahead and soak up our fuel in here. You know, when I brought it up out of the shop this morning, really was not running, like it wasn't getting any fuel at all. And you saw the bowl was maybe only a quarter full. That kind of tells me that that gunk and obstruction we saw in the needle is definitely our cause for poor running. And again, confirms that we've got junk coming in from somewhere. All right, we've got our fuel soaked up out of there. Just gonna take our handy dandy brake clean and shoot that in here too, and try and get all those little crusties and chunkies up and out of the bowl. So, Make sure you've got proper safety protection on your eyes. And if you're wondering why I didn't have anything else covered off, paint or the engine or anything, well, it's all getting repainted, so I don't really care. I don't see any more chunkies in the bowl, so that's pretty good. Let me get a fresh set of rags. And yes, I know this will evaporate, but if there's any left, any little chunks left lingering down in there, I can drag them off too. And since you asked, no, I'm not interested in taking off the bottom end of the carburetor. All right, we are all clean in here now. Alrighty. You know, I think wherever you go, you're going to be in my way and I'm going to be in your way, but we'll see. Let's see if we can't get these couple of screws loose. Hey, well, that gasket didn't break on me, so that's impressive. All right, so, oh, there's a bunch of stuff in there. There's chunks of leaves in here. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get all that gunk out of here. Yeah, there's just a bunch of grime in that section, kind of everywhere. So I'm gonna move you, but I'm gonna hit that with brake clean, pretty much just to blow all the chunks out of there. So you don't need to be around for that. Alrighty, we got you all cleaned off down in here now. And as long as I don't block my own light, you can see the inside of the pump is a whole lot cleaner than it was before. If you remember in your left side of the screen there, let me just do this. Bottom left side of the screen, that little quadrant was full of gunk. There were leaves in there. And then in the upper left, there were also chunks of stuff kind of everywhere. It was just dirty and grimy. So we've blown everything out of there. So we should, in theory, now have a clean system end to end. So let's go ahead and put that back together and then reassemble our carburetor. All right. Now when we put this back on, we need to be careful because this is spring-loaded on the back side, and that's what's going to be actuating your throttle. So you want to make sure that that's in the right position and not damage your gasket or get anything else caught in the wrong spot. Before I do that, let me see if I've got any fuel I can start with in the bowl. Of course, I just put some in the tank, so my can is nearly empty. That may be just enough to get us started. All right. Make sure the choke is all the way on so I can tighten this down. All right, everybody is snug, but not overly tight. Turn our choke off. Make sure that actuates like it should. All right, now we'll put our new fuel line on. We'll be about ready to go. The vehicle side, or the fuel pump side, does not quite line up. It needs to have a little bit of a bend in it, so we can certainly do that. That's not going to stop us, I don't think. Maybe we'll work backwards. We'll start down here. Get it in, and then make our bend as necessary. I think the fuel pump is going to have to get replaced. Well, it did get cleaned out just fine. When I was putting it back together, one of the threads said, "Hey, I'm done," and I didn't actually even get the get anything tightened in yet. It just pretty much gave up. So I've got a little bit of blue Loctite in there now, and I snugged it up so if it can get me from the garage down to the shop, I'm okay with that. All right, this new fitting goes in down here just fine. Snug him up. He went in just perfect. And this guy here, we'll just put a little bit of a bend in to get it where it needs to go. There we go. Make sure we get these threads started correctly and straight. That we did. Yeah, we're good. All right, we're in. We have our little clips. Let's see if I can put them back on, but things may have moved around just enough where they're not going to fit back on where they were. And I guess that's okay. Got one. Two over here. And the third one, well, the pipes have kind of changed direction from where they were. So we're just going to tuck you up here for right now so we can use you again in the future. Because eventually this return line for the vacuum advance, that's going to get replaced, but I didn't see a need to do that right now. So let's go ahead, hook the battery back up, and fire it up and see if it's going to start for us, or run. And also check that fuel pump to make sure it's going to not leak. Oh, it fired right up. But of course, not having any gas in the line from the pump up to the carb probably was our issue here. That sounds pretty good there. Oh, and we're leaking again. Look at that. That's too bad. That's what I didn't want to see. So we got something else in that bowl. Yep, see, that's exactly what I did not want to see, is that fuel dripping out of there again. Because we don't need that on the hot exhaust. So just for fun, I'm going to take off that cap here again and see if something has made its way into the system. May have been a little bit of gunk working its way out of the pump itself versus just up on top of what we saw there. So I'm going to do that, and I think having cleaned out what's in there, what we could see, and replacing that line, we've probably got about 90% of it out. So let me go ahead, take it apart again, see if I can figure it out, and eventually it's got to work the junk out of it, right? Because the fuel system's brand new. Come on. All right, we'll come back. All right, folks, well, I did it. I went back and rebuilt, took the carburetor apart again. There's a little more junk that had come through, and I also readjusted the float level in there. That was just a hair shorter than it should have been, which may have contributed to some of the fuel leakage, but definitely not the main reason, as we saw. So, of course, it's running pretty rough at the moment, to be expected. It's cold and probably has old gas, but it's at least running and it's not leaking anymore. That's the important part. So that's what I was really looking to fix today, and I think we've accomplished that. We'll, run it around a little more back and forth to the shop and see what happens. If it continues to hold off for us, I mean, great. I assume when we rebuild the engine, I'll probably replace the carburetor. Maybe not now. Maybe we won't have to. Also, what was great to see is that the fuel pump itself, with the screw that had stripped out, the guy in the front there, it's not leaking. So I'm very happy with that. Leaking feels always bad. So now we just have years and years of gunk to burn off. So maybe some of that will happen before I actually dig in and rebuild the engine. That would be nice. But for right now, I think we're going to call this one a wrap. And with that, we're going to wrap up the video, I think. It took 2 tries, but I believe we got the fuel leakage stopped. That new fuel line is installed, and the carburetor and fuel pump have been cleaned out of some nastiness. So hopefully that'll get us by until we actually get to rebuilding the engine itself. So until next time, if you have not, hit that like and subscribe button below. And don't forget to check us out on our social media sites. We are on Facebook and Instagram at Doc's Autos, and we have a Patreon account as well, and a bunch of new merchandise just added to my Teespring page. So until the next time, take care and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.